space them out a little bit. You can space that car out a little bit. No? Okay.
How do we, so you can start moving the cars here?
I'm going to move cars here.
Hey, Kenny.
Hello. That's all right. You can just space the cars out a little bit, like where you're standing.
No, it's not going to work. Live stream is not working.
This new car coming up, you can just space it out a little bit.
No, it's not working. Yeah, it just like the device that I'm using just kicked it.
Like I'd move it over another 3 feet.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Okay.
Okay. Well then, that's what it is. It's good. Do these guys know they all have to go back in their cars? Okay, John's going to also open and explain. Okay. All right. Are you ready?
Music?
we'll pull it out.
Hold on, let them stop.
Kristen, they have to park right here, right?
Oh, okay, right. Dave, you gave copies of your speech, right? Your speech to the kids?
sound check. How we doing?
A little louder?
Louder.
Mike, this is the sound check. How we doing?
Louder.
Good, good.
Mike, this is the sound check. How are we doing?
Good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you. Yeah, it's nice though. They can definitely have those dresses.
Mike, you good with the video?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Can we give a big, loud honking of the horns for the graduates of 2020? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can we do that one more time? Welcome, everybody. I'm John Kidder. I'm the head of school. I have the best job in the world. And I would like to welcome everybody to the most unusual graduation I have ever been a part of. I'd like to welcome the parents and the grandparents and the family members and members of the faculty and staff and the board of trustees. I would like to welcome all of the Buicks and Chevrolets and Hondas in the audience. Can we give another big honk of all the cars we have here? I would like to acknowledge all of the family members who, because of safety and travel, are not able to be here in person, but are really pulling for our graduates. The family members in the region, around the country, and the family members around the world. Mike V, the indomitable tech master, had planned to live stream, and our live stream thing melted in the sun. So we will be recording this event and sending it out so that all of the fans of the graduates can appreciate this moment today. I want to get into my speech, but first do we have a word from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. You may, so you can hear me, have your windows open. You may not get out of the car until instructed to do so by Kristen Arndt. We need to keep no more than 10 people outside at any time, which means that the graduate and up to 5 members of their family, but not more than 5, may get out when they're making their speech. Outside of bathroom emergencies, nobody else can get out of their car. Blink the lights of your car if you understand these instructions from the CDC. Excellent. During the student speeches, there will not be any honking of horns. It will throw them off their game. If you want to express love, you can stick your hands out the window and shake them. You can blink your lights. Let's test that with the hands on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. It's really hard to give a speech without a audience thing, so our graduates are going to need that kind of love. So I'm going to dive right in. Today is a milestone event in the lives of our graduates. This is the day that the parents and family members have been looking forward to since the day those graduates were born. And who could have imagined that this day would look like this? Amidst the backdrop of everything that is happening in this country, in terms of justice and non-justice, in terms of germs, in terms of safety. And yet, here we are, stronger together. For this speech, I thought about doing a metaphor about all the things that wearing gloves and masks and Lysol could teach us about life. But I'm not going to do that. I think we've had enough of Lysol for a long period of time. So what I'd like to do instead is simply to tell a story. A story of an influential person in my life. My grandmother grew up during the last pandemic. It was the signature event that altered the course of her life. And every time I spent time with her, she would begin with the phrase, "Johnny, did you know that I grew up during the Spanish flu?" And I'd say, "Yes, Grammy, I did know that. You've told me like 100 times before." And she would then expound about the stories about how that time was one of the most difficult of her life, but it was also a time when people came together. And it formed a connection with how to treat people. And so what I'd like to do is to share just a few of the phrases that she lambasted upon me when I was growing up. Because I've thought about those phrases a lot in the last couple months. As a teenager, I was sick of them. But her words have been coming back to me since March and brought me wisdom. And I hope that that wisdom might find some relevance for everybody here today. The first one, I've thought a lot about. Wash your hands. Every time I saw my grandmother, she told me to wash my hands. Honk your horns if you think that's good advice. Second thing she said, watch people. Watch people. When I was about 20, I asked her what she meant by that. And she said, you can tell a lot about a person by how they treat others, not just when others aren't looking, but when things are difficult. Kristen, can you get that last one for me? If you watch what people do, you will learn a lot about how to treat others and who you want to spend your time with. As we have watched the news over the last few months, I would imagine that learning about what not to do has been a lesson our graduates have been thinking about a lot. The next one, be generous. In life, she said, be generous. Now, when I was about 10, what I would say to her is, be generous, huh, Grammy? Is that why you give me only $2 when it's my birthday? And she said, shut up, kid. She really would say that. She was kind of a crusty, amazing person. She'd say, that's not the kind of generosity I am talking about. Treat people as if they were your mother. Treat people as if they were your sister, your brother. Be generous to them. The next one, my sense, if you find relevance with this, I want you to stick your hands out and do the lights. Get a haircut when you can. Get a haircut when you can. This one never made any sense to me when I was growing up. Get a haircut when you can? Why is that mattering? You can get a haircut any time. And she said, no. When I was growing up, you could not go out to get a haircut. And I just thought that was crazy talk. And I realize now, that's pretty good advice. The next one reminds me of that phrase, if at first you don't succeed, then skydiving is probably not for you. my grandmother would often say this: difficult experiences, and I'd say, I know, they build character. Now she said, no. Difficult experiences build character, but that's not the point. Kid, difficult experiences just hurt a lot. Difficult experiences just hurt a lot. And I thought she was trying to be funny. And when I was about 25, I asked her exactly what she meant by that. And she said, I've never told you this before, but my father, your great-grandfather, was a dentist in 1919. I said, yeah, I know, you told me a million times. She said, no, you don't know this part of the story. She said, he was a dentist, and when the pandemic hit, because of his medical training, he went out to treat the people who others would not treat. There was no medical insurance at that time. He went out to treat the people, like all of the frontline folks we have out there today. And he got sick. He got the flu. And then she did something that I never saw my grandmother do. She teared up and she told me that her father died in the last pandemic. And I didn't know that till I was 25. And suddenly, the words of advice she'd been telling me for years began to find some resonance. Can we give some appreciation to all of the frontline workers, the medical folks, the janitors, the people at the grocery store who have been keeping this society moving? Can we give them a big round of applause and lots of honking of horns? Difficult experiences hurt a lot. The last two I've thought of a lot lately. Give your best heart. Give your best heart. My grandmother always asked me, what are you doing to be of service to others? What are you doing to make a contribution? What are you doing to make a difference? Give your best heart. When I found out how my grandfather died, it had a tremendous impact on my life. And I think about all the people around the country today that are marching and protesting and working for justice and taking care of the sick and doing the hard work that is not glamorous, is often not seen, but it is important. They're giving the best part of themselves. They're giving their heart. And lastly, I asked her what it was like to grow up without a father, to know how he died. And she said, that's not what I think about. And I want to say this to all of us, to our graduates, and also to recognize with words the people in the extended community, the people who are known and loved by the people in these cars, the people who have been lost. 100,000 since March. Those people were needed. They are still loved. They are not forgotten. And I asked my grandmother, how do you think of the way your father died? And she says, I don't think of it that way. I think of how he lived. And for all those we have lost, I want us, and especially our graduates, to remember how those people lived. Many of them standing up for the least amongst us, the most vulnerable, the people that needed our help. Her last words for me, express gratitude. Express gratitude. What I'd like to do now is have the next minute for every graduate in their cars to look at their family members around them and to say something that expresses the profound gratitude you feel for your parents and family members today. Graduates, think about it. Say something really nice. Express your gratitude. Let's take the next minute and I will wait. Go. Okay, to recap, the advice: wash your hands, watch people and learn, be generous, get a haircut when you can. Difficult experiences hurt a lot. Give your best heart and express gratitude. Can we give a big round of applause to the class of 2020 with all of your horns and lights? And now I'd like to introduce the faculty speaker who the graduates have asked to speak to them today, the indomitable, the charismatic, the beard-wearing Mr. Paul Leister. Can we give him a big warm welcome?
Good morning. This beach does have a metaphor. Every once in a while, I wear eyeglasses to work. My vision is not 20/20, though it's usually good enough to get me through a day without problems. There's some mornings, however, particularly when I haven't slept very well, that I wake up to find my eyes lack a bit of focus and the world is slightly blurry. On those mornings, I wear my glasses. My glasses help me to see better when my vision needs correction. They were provided to me by a professional. I cannot determine my own prescription or grind my own lenses or fit them to frames. And so I have to rely on others to see with clarity. On my own, things blur. Lenses, prescriptions, or otherwise affect how we see. In Humanities 12 this year, I have endeavored to provide a series of lenses for senior students to see. Feminist, racial, post-structuralist, religious, reader response, militarist, and so on. None of these are the only lens, or the one true lens, any more than there is one set of prescription glasses that works for everyone. There are issues that call for a feminist lens, issues that call for a racial justice lens, issues that call for a human rights lens. There are issues that call for all of these, the intersectional lens, or maybe profitably looked at through a variety. These seniors have also brought their own lenses to the classroom, and we are richer for it. Although they are only 10 in number, the breadth of their differences is breathtaking. This class features a student who grew up in Vietnam and whose family maintains deep ties to Maryland. A student for whom athletics and fashion are twin passions. A student who is devoted to the Scouts and to the outdoors and to the environment. A student who has served untold hours aiding the people of Haiti. A student who mentors middle school girls in math. There's even a student who I've been reminding for, I believe, 5 years now to wear his glasses. That they bring different lenses to their work is obvious, and our classroom is stronger for it. The current pandemic has given us all a new lens, or perhaps a very old one. Marooned with our families, our lives have been static. Staying at home these last few months has been an odd disjunction from normal life. I do not go the places I normally go or do the things I normally do. There have been moments that feel blessed when the full joy of not commuting strikes me, or when I feel the deepened connection to my son that has grown these last months. There have equally been moments of fear and loss and grief. Fear for the vulnerable among our families and friends, the loss of loved ones to the pandemic, the grief for both those who have died and for the changes we have suffered. The pandemic has laid bare how much we need community. Our families are central. All of you seniors are here today with your families, after all. And our communities are also so important for our lives and our well-being. That too is a lens, to see things as we and not as me. This group of seniors has lost their physical proximity over the last 3 months. Our learning community has not seen each other in person. And while some of the Zoom lessons were honestly pretty good, physical proximity does matter. It matters whether we can see each other in 3 dimensions. In literature, we talk about flat characters and rounded characters, meaning characters who are fully developed versus those who are simplified with only a feature or 2. We become flatter when we communicate only through screens. So life has been in stasis, and we have all begun to seem flatter. These seniors did not have the spring of their senior year as it should have been. This is a thing to be grieved. But despite this loss, this group of seniors has also won so much. You have had victories in the classroom, in the art studio, in the theater, on the court, on the field, in Eagle Scout projects at Model UN conferences. You have won great victories in learning English as a foreign language and gaining proficiency in American culture. You are writers, you are mathematicians, you are artists and scientists, musicians, linguists, athletes, and sometimes you are each other's rivals, collaborators, and friends. All 10 of you have grown and developed and tried and failed and tried again and succeeded over these last years. You have all overcome significant obstacles along the way. And so life is not only in stasis, but always in progress. Graduation has arrived, and you are here. Today is a day when we celebrate the individual accomplishments of these magnificent seniors, and we do it together, as this small group of 50, and as a larger community watching and supporting from home. You 10 students are children no longer. You are adults in truth. In The Elegance of the Hedgehog, Mariel Barrie writes, "I understood very early on that life goes by in no time at all. Yet adults are always in such a hurry, so stressed out by deadlines, so eager for now that they needn't think about tomorrow. But if you dread tomorrow, it's because you don't know how to build the present. So we have to surpass ourselves every day, make every day undying, make every step a little bit of eternity. That's what the future is for. To build the present with real plans made by living people. This particular graduation day arrives amid widespread protests and unrest in our country. Racist police violence has once again reared up, and the illegitimate use of force by both police and military forces threatens to destabilize democracy itself. Some of you among the senior class have taken it on yourselves this last week to make your voices heard in this pivotal moment, to stand up for what you believe in. We should not only be proud of you, seniors, we should strive to learn from your examples. To see things as we and not as me. I have some discomfort giving this speech today. I'm truly, genuinely honored to have been chosen by the seniors to deliver this address. And yet I also believe the world does not need to hear more from the voices of white men at this particular moment. The voices of white men have been privileged enough. It would be better, I think, for white people in general and men in particular to learn to listen. We all come with our own eyes, but they blur. Our own ears, but sometimes we struggle to hear. We need those around us for correctives. So seniors, I leave you with one final lens then. Look at yourselves and see your own power, and continue also to listen. And let you never dread tomorrow. Yes, the coronavirus is among us, and senior year was truncated, and problems continue. Yet let us not dread. Let us instead build the future we can imagine, and smile, and celebrate, and work, and laugh, and think, and love as we build it. Today, you are high school graduates and you are adults. High school lies in your past. The future is yours, yes. But as Barrie says, not only the future, the present is yours too, if you have the lenses to see it. Congratulations, class of 2020. You beautiful, beautiful people.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kristen Arndt, and I have the pleasure of being the head of the middle and upper school at Barrie. Today, I have the great honor to announce each graduating member of the class of 2020. And so first, I just want to share a few instructions. When I say each graduate's name, I want you to beep your horns and get excited. The graduate, I want you to come up here, and your diploma will be on the podium. At that point, the graduate can pull their mask down, if they wish, to give their speech. As you can see, I am taking my job as lead sanitizer very seriously. Families, when your child or your student is announced, I want to welcome up to 5 members of your family and friends, up to 5, to stand in those parking spaces right in front if you wish. And that is so we can, while keeping under 10 people out of their cars at any time, we can offer a special moment for the graduate and the family, for the graduate to speak face to face with their family in front of them. Okay? All right? Are you ready for our speeches from our graduates? Yeah! One last thing. Upon leaving, every graduate of goodies, which includes a few surprises and just memorabilia and tokens for each member of the class of 2020. So, without further ado, I want to welcome our first graduate who will speak today, and for his family also to come to the space. Please give it up for Dominic Ferreira.
I would like to thank everyone for coming. First of all, it is very exciting. It is very exciting to be graduating with everyone in this class. I've been part of Barrie's community since the 3rd grade, and during this time, I have met so many amazing people from the faculty and to students. And I would never have been able to do this if it wasn't for my parents for allowing me to be here. I got to experience so many different things like ESWs and class trips. For instance, I got to experience going to Belize, and that was the very first time I was on the plane. I would like to thank different faculty members, and there are so many that have come and gone. But there are 3 main ones that have made a huge impact in my life. Paul Elisha was a great impact on me. Some may know the next one. His name is Dan Hayden. He has known me for and finally, Andrea, my advisor, she has been very helpful in what I do. Finally, I would like to thank everyone in the class for being the best people I ever met. And congratulations to you all, and I wish the best for whatever you do. Thank you.
That was pretty good. Thank you. Our next graduating member of the class of 2020 is Faith Noelle Chrysler.
Right into that.
everybody. It doesn't feel right for me to stand before you here today and talk about what I'm going to do in the future, or talk about what I've done as a student, or thank those who have been in my life without thanking the people of color who I don't know. Those who have had their lives taken too soon at the hands of somebody who had no right. Those who demanded the change that I benefit from today, and those whose lives continue to be taken that require me, and all of us, to continue to demand change. It's a responsibility that we all have to remember them, to say their names, and to ultimately do all that we can to create a better world for our children. A world where people of color can go jogging safely, can get normal traffic tickets, where a 12-year-old African-American boy can play a game outside with his friends without worrying it'll be the last thing he does. This movement is hot right now, but it's not a trend. We have to keep fighting and keep protesting and keep sharing on social media so that the world I just described can become a reality. With that being said, I would like to thank Barrie for giving me a platform to share a message that is so important to me. Thank you to all the faculty who have taught me over the 9 years I've been at Barrie. I came to Barrie as a 4th grader, and Barrie welcomed me with open arms and continued to love me as I grew emotionally and socially. You have all played such an important role in shaping me to be the person I am today, and as Kristen so loves to remind me, you have all seen me grow up from an obnoxious middle schooler to a hopefully more graceful graduating senior. Thank you to the whole humanities department for furthering my love of the subject. I really appreciate the patience, kindness, and on occasion, the tough love almost every teacher has shown me. There's one teacher in particular whose tough love I think I'll remember forever. In the moment, her tough love felt mostly tough and no love, but looking back, that's what will prepare me for the real world the most. So Persis, thank you so much. But again, thank you to all the faculty. I feel equipped to take on the world as a new contributing member of society. I feel so lucky to graduate with some of my best friends. I've gotten to grow up with some of you as early as 4th grade, and to those in particular who have always been there for me, who stayed friends with me, even when I didn't make it easy, I love you like family. Selena, thank you for the memories, the adventures, the laughs, the snarky comments, the vlogging, and the study sessions, and for stealing my mom away from me. Trinity, thank you for never failing to make me laugh, usually in class, for always telling me what I don't want to hear, but I definitely need to hear, and for being someone I know I can count on for anything, always, no matter what. High school wouldn't have been the same without both of you, so thank you for being my best friends, for pulling me out of my comfort zone, and for being my shoulders to cry on. To my whole grade, whatever you do and wherever you go, I know you'll all be successful, and I can't wait to see how you change the world. To my family and friends watching it online, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to support me on this very non-traditional graduation day. It means the world to me, and I can't wait until I can see you and thank you in person. I would like to thank my skating coach, who has watched me grow up since I was 9 years old. I know I don't say this very often, but I want you to know that you're one of my most important role models, and I wouldn't be the person I am today without you. To my family who is here in person, thank you so much for spending such an important day with me. Thank you for all the support and love you've given me over the past 18 years. I never would have made it this far without you, and I love you all. There's one family here today that's been like a second family to me. You have opened your home and your arms to me more times than I can count, and I couldn't say goodbye to high school without letting you know how important you guys are to me. You've done so much to make high school a truly enjoyable and unforgettable experience for so many of us, and I can't even say how blessed I am to have you all in my life. You're one of the kindest families I have ever met, and I know I say this all the time, but here's one more. Thank you, Kleckners. Even though he's not physically here anymore, I'd like to thank my dad for being one of my biggest inspirations. He taught me how to be a kind, loving, and hardworking person, and I think those kinds of qualities will prove to be invaluable in my life. I know he's been supporting me every single day of my life, and I know that he's here with me today, so a huge thank you to my dad. Most importantly, though, I'd like to thank my mom. Okay. Thank you for giving me everything I will ever need to succeed on any path I choose. Thank you for teaching me how to channel my outspokenness into a more articulate, eloquent voice. And thank you for teaching me how to use that voice to speak out for what I believe in and fight for what is right. That is one of the most important lessons anybody could have ever taught me, and I am so grateful it came from you. Thank you for your endless support, your patience, and your unconditional love. You sacrificed so much to get me where I am today, so from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Faith. Our next graduate is Selena Fessahazen.
Take it down, enjoy. And wait till your family gets to the family area.
Good morning, faculty, parents, staff, and students. These past 4 years have been a time of growth, new experiences, and opportunities that I will forever be grateful for. With that being said, this speech will essentially be a series of shout-outs. I'd like to thank my parents who came to this country only a few years older than I am now with nothing, who've been my backbone and never hesitated to lay everything out on the table when it comes to my siblings and I. I'd like to thank my sister for being the slightly more hostile yet improved version of me and always being there to keep me in check and make memories with. I'd like to thank my brothers for always keeping our household entertaining, especially these past few months. And to my grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins, you've been my unfailing support system. I'd of course like to thank all my teachers for sharing the gift of knowledge with me. It's a privilege and I hope to take it with me as I grow up. Shout out to Tony for supporting me and never failing to reach out with words of wisdom, comfort, or a helping hand. And Paul for being genuine in spirit and teaching every class like he wants to be there. Shout out to Natalie, whose office I practically lived in sophomore year. I love and miss you. A huge thank you to Tish, who greeted me with a smile every morning when I came in late, which was more often than not. Most of all, I'd like to thank Rabia for being the introduction to my love for international affairs, which I will continue to study in college. I'd like to thank my friend group, Layla, Fada, Arsima, Taylor. The four of you made every day a good one, even when it wasn't. Thank you for all the laughs, round table talks, and mini potlucks. I love you guys so much, and you've been the highlight of my high school experience. Faith, thank you for all the memories on and off campus, from our excessive Starbucks trips to our post-breakdown car naps. I love you. Last but not least, to my grade, thank you for the music you've claimed you put me onto, the laughs, peer pressuring me into playing basketball for a season, being a fellow QC, and I wish you all nothing short of success, whatever that may be in your eyes. Thank you. Our next graduate and valedictorian of the class, Trinity Kleckner.
We were told this speech is often a list of thank yous. So originally, I was going to thank my parents for being the most loving and giving people I know, my grandparents for their endless help with any and everything, my siblings for always being by my side, ready to stand up for me, and Rob, Colleen, and Roberto for the unfathomable amount of time that they have put up with me these last 6 years. Now, I'm sure this is no shock to anyone, but per usual, I was far from content with what I had written. Around version 5 of this speech, I realized why I kept rewriting. It was because saying thank you with the sentence that follows will never express how grateful I am for everything you all have done for me. So I've decided to take this in a different direction. I'd like to take this time to share 4 lessons I've learned over the past 4 years that have made me the person I am today. In doing so, I would like to thank any and everyone who has helped me learn these lessons. The first is that pulse is the most accurate answer, or that nearly nothing is simply push or pull. That creating a binary for simplification does nothing but complicate. No concept and certainly no person can be categorized by asking the question, this or that. I believe that it is a common misconception. The issue with the binary is the bi prefix. Generalization in the form of binaries, ternaries, quaternaries, or any of the aries is aimless because we live in a world of spectrums. The next lesson is to wear a name tag, not a label.
Yeah, man.
Now, the unconditional love and support from my parents and grandparents has taught me this at a young age. However, it has been nothing but reinforced during my time at Barrie. I've learned that you cannot stop people from trying to put you in boxes and fit you into categories, but you can make it hard for them to do so by being the most authentic version of yourself. The third lesson I'm going to share is to prioritize current happiness. So many people spend time doing things they don't enjoy, thinking it'll make the next stage of their lives better. But what we often don't consider is that is contingent on there being a next stage. One of the scariest moments I've ever experienced was when I was not sure that I was going to get that next stage. That very brief moment consisted of a surplus of unknowns with nothing to do but think. My 16-year-old self was sure of only 3 things. No matter what was going to happen, I was loved, I was proud, and I was happy. While that moment exists in the past, it has had a lasting impact on how I live my life. The final lesson I'm going to share with you all today is the most prevalent. It is what I do with all my privilege. I know that I was born with a head start and that second chances, safety nets, and opportunities have been in my back pocket since before someone put me in my first pair of pants. I have been, and no doubt will be again, credited for work that was not all mine, given chances when others deserved them more, and forgiven for things others are punished for. All because of how I was born. I am white, I am cisgender, I am healthy. English is my first language, I am middle class, I am able-bodied, I am educated, I am privileged. I did not earn this privilege, I did not work for this privilege, but I inherited it because my ancestors had it. But they did not earn this privilege, and they surely did not work for this privilege, they poached it. They took it to better themselves and worsen others, and now I have been given it. Over the past 6 years, I have learned that continuously acknowledging and understanding my own privilege is the only way not to use it against anyone or any group of people. I have learned that having privilege leaves me a responsibility to give back and do better, and I have learned that this is just the beginning of how to handle my privilege and that there will always be more to learn and more to do. These 4 lessons have created the foundation of who I am today and who I will continue to become. I cannot emphasize enough how thankful I am to everyone who has played a role in my 18 years of learning. To end my speech, I would like to leave a promise to my entire support system. A promise that I hope will just begin to show you all the impact you have had on my life and how grateful I am to each and every one of you. I promise to go into the next stage of my life with my eyes and ears open, my morals set, and my voice loud. I will not be afraid to speak up for what I believe in, and when privilege opens a door for me, I will not claim to have had the keys, but instead use what was on the other side of that doorway to help those whose doors have been shut on them. Thank you.
And pause in here so you can take a picture.
Our next graduate is Hui Nguyen.
Hello everybody. You guys don't hear me? Thank you for everybody being here today. Barrie is a place that has changed my life and my way of thinking about why and how we learn. Before I came to Barrie, I worked in a very focused, like my old school were focused a lot on grading and you guys still hear me? It was a very school focusing on grading and how you perform depends on grading. And when I started to learn at Barrie, the way I perform at school and thinking about education has changed. I start to realize that there is a true value in every lesson I learn here. I don't concentrate on like how much grade am I gonna get from this assignment anymore. I start to have a deep thinking about every lesson I learn. I want to say thanks to the teacher that helped me throughout my year at Barrie, especially Roberta, who helped me a lot. Despite I was not good at English at a very early time I was here. He tried to interpret me the lesson at the best he can. I learned a lot from him. Also, at Barrie, outside the classroom, I engaged the basketball team with the position of a manager. And I had a good time there. I thank you for everybody who was there with me. Finally, I want to thank you my family, especially my parents who have always supported me throughout my year study abroad. Thank you.
Our next graduate is Karan Savoy.
You guys hear me? Dear faculty, parents, and students, I'm very excited for my classmates to be here today, as we should all feel accomplished. First, I would like to thank God for blessing me with opportunity and perseverance. It has not been a walk in the park these past 4 years. Ninth grade, I was kind of reserved to myself, but I want to thank my friends for helping me open up and broaden my horizons, and also played a big part in my maturity over the years. I'd like to thank my high school coaches and teachers for sticking with me through unproductive days and rough times. Last but certainly not least, my wonderful family. Mom, Pop, my aunts and uncles, my siblings, my cousins, grandma and granddad for molding me into the man I am today. It's been a long journey for me, but the best is yet to come. Class of 2020, we did it. Thank you.
Buddy shot.
Yes.
All right, okay. All right, man.
Our next graduate is Matthias Shingleton.
Can everybody hear me? Dear faculty, parents, and students, Barrie was the best thing that has ever happened to me. It has challenged me academically, pointed me to what I think I want to do with my life, given me some really great friends, and exposed me to teachers who have pushed me to be all that I can be. Furthermore, Barrie has the most awesome ESWs. Before I went on the Broadway ESW 2 years ago, I had never actually seen a Broadway production. It exposed me to big-time musicals, including an original Broadway cast, that has inspired me to see every musical that I can. But the absolute best was going to Belize last year. I was immersed in a brand new culture, including eating my first papaya and going snorkeling for the first time ever. I also contributed to field research in a meaningful and impactful way. All as a junior in high school. As a matter of fact, the first teacher I want to thank is Andrea. She led the Belize trip where she had to deal with 14 juniors and seniors, some for the first time out of the United States. She's been my advisor for the past 2 years, and her marine science class has inspired me to major in environmental studies while I'm in college. She pushed me to do things. She pushed me to do things that including my first ever dissection. My third advisor was David Weiner. He's a really great problem solver and advisor. I could say many things about him, but I especially want to thank him for suggesting that I apply to Guilford College. I very much appreciate what you've done to help me through the application process. Paul. You taught me at the start of my journey at Barrie and at the very end. During your classes, I first fell in love with learning about history, and you encouraged me every step of the way. All of my teachers have been so dedicated to helping me succeed, whether it's seeing them driving a long way for a long school day and cramming onto a church pew to attend my Eagle Scout Court of Honor. I also want to thank both of my parents. Thank you for being there for me throughout my high school journey. They've always been there for me, being my safety net when I needed them. And lastly, I want to thank all of my friends that I've made during this journey. My don't hate on my glory if you don't know my story. Suffice it to say, Barrie has been critical to that story, and I will forever be grateful. Thank you very much.
Our next graduate is Judelle Simone.
Dear faculty, parents, and students. Coming from a different state in school in 9th grade, I wasn't really sure about Barrie, but especially this year, I learned to appreciate everything Barrie offers for its students. Barrie has honestly had a positive impact on my life, and I'm excited to use everything I've learned into the real world. First of all, I just want to thank God, my family, and all of the Barrie faculty. I also really want to appreciate my mom, my dad, and my stepmom for providing for me, which enabled me to have this opportunity. I also want to appreciate Rob, Safika, Paul, Andrea, David, Tony, Seth, and Christian for being wholesome teachers as much as they are people. I also want to appreciate Karan. I'm not going to say, first of all, Karan, he's been my man here at Barrie. I'm not going to say much, but he's made these 4 years memorable, and I love you, bro.
Your soul.
Our next speaker is Wehan Jun.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dear faculty, parents, students, and especially the class of 2020. My name is Wei Han-jung. I transferred to Barrie 2 years ago. Throughout my 2 years at Barrie, there were lots of people who helped me before, including teachers and my guardians. Thanks to the people who helped me, I've never been in a small and diverse school like Barrie before, so it brings me a lot of surprise and exciting memories. The most memorable and impressive memory for me is the ESW to Paris. As an international student, I've never traveled before with non-Chinese students I spent 2 weeks with friends and teachers in London. I experienced a lot of things that I've never tried before, and I learned that about Central American culture. Thanks to Andrea who brought me that wonderful experience. There are also many teachers who have been indispensable in my high school life, such as Michelle, who has supported our international community all the time, and David, who gave me a lot of advice during my college application process. Rob, thanks for being much more than a teacher, and for your willingness to joke around with me all the time. And Paul, you taught me of freedom and humanity, and helped me understand so much more about American government and social justice. Further, thanks for the wonderful math class that I have never experienced before. Finally, I would like to thank my guardians, He and Aisha. They have supported me all the time and take great care of me, make me feel at home. And they always think about me and give me a lot of great memories in the U.S. Thank Miss Ho. This is my 6th year in the U.S. and she has been supporting me and helping me since the beginning. Last but not least, I want to thank my parents for always having my back and giving me this wonderful opportunity to study abroad and to meet all you guys. You guys are like a wonderful and interesting person. Thanks again to everyone who has helped me and I wish everyone well in the class of 2020. Thank you.
we have one more graduate who unfortunately is not here today, but I would love to acknowledge our final graduate, who is Rachel Yakimov.
Look at you, you could do all I couldn't do, couldn't do. So now it's up to people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to go through. Help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for.
But then I guess we know there's blame to share,
and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that needs to boulder halfway through the
Thank you so much to the musical production class who put together that song remotely for our graduating class today. Please, further appreciate. So, I have the wonderful task of, in a few moments, presenting to you the class of 2020. Before I do, and before we conclude this most special ceremony, I want to share a few pieces of information. First, this in-person drive-in ceremony that I never in my entire career thought I would be doing has come as a labor of love from so many people. I'd really like to acknowledge John Kidder, the Board of Trustees, Tony Myers, Dave Weiner, Jaguar Tech Team, Mike V, Aaron Springfield, Kitty Jones, Han Nguyen, Ketty Tullis, and Wendy Grenier, the parents who were on our committee, and everyone else who's made today possible. Please, let's show our appreciation. Second, at the conclusion of this ceremony, we are going to have a recessional. Most graduations end in a recessional, but granted, ours is going to look a little bit different today. So, at the conclusion of this ceremony, we will start directing all cars to form a recessional, starting with the cars of the graduates right here, and lining up this way, because as you can see, our horses are at the ready to lead the graduates and then the other members, guests, and teachers on a slow, but delightful trip through campus, around, up by Han's office in the admin building, and then back down. And when you come back down, you will continue to be led. There will be a surprise waiting for you here in this parking lot. Again, I want to thank you all in advance for staying in your cars, because only from the agreement that we're staying in our cars were we able to put together today's ceremony. I love you all. I wish you all the best. Thank you, graduates. And without further ado, I'm expecting some real noise after I...
Should be good. Is it on?
Hello? I didn't turn it off. Hello?
Try it.
Hello. And one last thing, we might be in our cars. And thank you all. I want each graduate to take your tassel from the one side to the other upon my cue. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, graduates.
Hope I got some brothers that outlive me. They gon' tell the story was different with me. God's plan, God's plan. I hold back sometimes I won't.